Okay, that looked like it worked. I don't really need it to be very loud. What about right there? That seems okay. That seems fine. Maybe a little quieter. Now we could actually keep this up and just turn this down. That's fine. Okay. Excuse me. Just doing a little more studying. I do my taxes this morning. So we're just working through the Core 1 study notes, I guess. We're going to do the whole thing the next 9 days. Try to work at a pace that's not too fast. We want to try to be thorough. Mobile devices, networking, hardware, virtualization, and cloud computing. Mobile devices, networking, hardware, virtualization. No. Mobile devices, networking, hardware, virtualization, and cloud computing. 1, 2, 3, 5 topics. Almost a third of the whole thing is hardware network troubleshooting. They're more worried about this than anything else. They're not even necessarily... The second lowest thing is mobile devices, which I find interesting. Because it's the first thing I mentioned. 90 questions, 90 minutes, multiple choice, drag and drops, performance-based questions slash simulations. So I have, my experience, my bachelor's in informatics. I have built a home lab. I've built my own computer. I've built a computer from scratch twice. Both of them work great. Taken one apart, maintained it after 5 years, and put it back together, and it works better than it did before I maintained it. I've performed upgrades. I've been fixing my internet problems since I was a little kid. I feel like I got this. Right, I can take apart a computer and recognize every piece of it all the way down to the level that I don't understand is the little tiny chips all over it. That's something I still need to, that's a whole other layer. I know what their purposes are, what generally the kinds of things that they do, but it's a complicated area. I feel like that's very particular. It doesn't seem necessary for this exam. Because we're not hearing about them. I'm not being quizzed on chips. On the tiny little chips, anyway. Computer desk. Given a scenario, apply the best practice methodology to resolve these problems. Computer desk. Okay. Oh, that's what okay, I see. This is terminology. So when people say workstation, they mean computer desk. All right, when they say server, they mean a PC that's used to host a file and print sharing server. A laptop is a mobile version of a workstation, but a workstation is a desk. Right, a laptop is not a mobile desk. A computer desk isn't necessarily a computer, or doesn't necessarily have one. portable computer that consists of a touchscreen and computing hardware. I mean, you could... Smartphone. A smaller version of I feel like a tablet is actually a bigger version of a smartphone. I think the smartphone came first. Probably didn't. I'm probably wrong, but whatever. Smart device is a device that can compute, Internet of Things, devices that connect to a network. This is weird. Parts of a computer that can be picked up, moved around, opened, and closed. Storage is saving data. Software provides instructions for hardware. Operating system provides a method for saving, retrieving, changing, printing, and transmitting information. Driver user translate commands. Graphics system are true. That's very true. Safety procedures, personal safety, trip hazard, lifting techniques. Lift with your legs, not with your back. Keep the object in your mid-power zone. Safety gear usage, yes. Yeah, that's kind of obvious, and that's out of place. That should be here. What is this? This is... what's introduction? Okay. Just extremely broad. Right, first pass, trip hazards occur, component safety, action taken to prevent damage to components, you know, ESD. Anti-static bag, wrist wrap, and a mat. Electrical safety, chemical safety. Chemical safety includes proper handling and disposal of hazardous materials. Of course, we do not want to impact the environment with our poor decisions. 6 steps. Yep, okay, this is an important part. Identify the problem. Establish a theory. Test the theory. It doesn't work. New theory. Establish a plan when the theory is confirmed. Verify functionality. Document the process. Quick caveat, if you have to take something apart to establish a theory, then you should document it as you do it. Right. Cable types. Here we go. Explain basic cable types and their connectors and their purposes. A single bit can store one of 2 values, 1 or 0. A nibble is 4 bits. People don't talk about that anymore. A byte is 8 bits. 1,000 bits is a kilobit. 1 kilobyte per second. A 1,000 bits is 1 KB. 1 kilobit? Kilobit. 8 bits per byte. Sure. That's true. 125 bytes per second. B is bits. Capital B is bytes. Right. 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 1 million bits is a megabit. 1 million bytes is a megabyte. 1 million gigabit, 1 million gigabyte. So these are factors of 8. If a byte is 8 bits, then a gigabyte is 8 gigabits. Terabit, terabyte. We don't really, I feel like in commonplace people use bytes, not bits. A terabyte, that sounds like a gigabyte. A megabyte. People don't say megabits, gigabits, terabits. But to my knowledge, yeah, I feel like dominate store. Okay, bits are prevalent in networking and transmission. I see. Well, bytes dominate storage and memory. Okay. So when we're talking about like RAM and stuff like that, caches, we're probably going to be referring to bytes. But when we're talking about data transmission, it goes down to bits. Okay. So USB Type A is just a USB, boy. That's it. Even USB 2, I would imagine. Alright, and then you Type B, the one that you find for like audio interfaces and printers. Type 3, or 3.0, is the blue one. The blue USB with the 5 gigabytes per second, unless it's 3.1, which it could be 10. 3.2, which I believe is 20. The USB Mini, we love it. Pretty sure that's what's on mine. Transponder. No, it's not the Mini. It's the Micro. You don't see Mini. I feel like Mini used to be used for charging phones in the like early 2010s, like cheap phones. The Micro, which is typically used to power like a lot of junk electronics. Like Type C, but we use these a days. And then USB Micro B, which I've only ever seen that used. I've only ever seen USB Micro B on a external hard drive. I've never seen it on anything else. Got too much shit open. I don't need my home lab document open. I don't need my action plan open right now. We don't need settings open. Trying to make that legible. Is there a way to zoom this text? Is there no way to do it? Whoa, what are you doing? Hey man, I asked you something. Is that what it's called? Micro B? Yeah. Smartphones and tablets. Oh. Portable electronics, headphones. No. That's not true. Cameras, I can believe that. Gaming controllers. Really? Huh. Arduino. Oh. Okay. I see. Compact. Yeah, it was really thin. It's cheap. Durable. I don't remember it being durable. Standardization. Universally accepted. Okay. Power and speed. While it's not as powerful as USB-C, micro USB offered sufficient power delivery for most small devices. Offered respectable data transfer speeds, especially with a 3.0. Oh yeah. Oh, okay, okay, yeah. I can see it. It'd be pretty chill. It's interesting. I've never seen it on a phone or anything like that. Right. Display port. It's like a fucked up HDMI. And then you've got your HDMI. You've got a baby HDMI. S video. Okay. Pause it. Mini DVI. Mini VGA. The VGA. Nice. CD drive, the ability to read and write information to a system using an optical device. Power button, audio jack, super speed USB connectors, cooling fan, love it. HDMI, RJ45, net access to local area, a wired connection, Kensington lock. Allows you to place a metal cable from the desk to the computer tower to ensure the computer is not stolen. Cool. SPDIF connector, an optical connector that allows high quality audio to a surround sound system. USB 2.0 speeds are good for microphone and mouse and keyboard. Way more than good. RJ45. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's Ethernet. Boom. DB25. A D-shaped miniature pin that goes in the back of a computer and has 2 thumb screws on the side. Okay. Serial cable that sends data ones and zeros in a straight line, but can only send 1 bit at a time. And measuring the speed of cables with for IOs. DB9, a slow speed connection for much older mice and keyboards. Yes. I have one of those, I believe. With an old shitty monitor. USB 1 and 2 run at much slower speed and should be split across a hub. USB 1 is the slowest. 1.5 megabits a second. God damn, that's slow. That's not even megabytes. It's not megabytes. It's USB 1.1 is 12 megabits. 2.0 is 480 megabits. It's bits, not bytes. They're measuring this in bits. We gotta remember that for the exam. You know they're gonna throw bytes on there. You know that 2 of the answers, one's gonna be megabits, one's gonna be megabytes, and it's gonna be like, do you know which one we actually measure it in, asshole? Right? 2.0's USB super speed, 5 gigabyte. 2.1, 5 gigabyte. 3.1, Gen 2, 10 gigabyte. Right. I feel like people call this 3.2. I feel like that's what it's referred to in the CIBEX. 20 gigabyte for the USB. No, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. What am I talking about? If they say 3.1, I'm going to put 10 gigabyte. If they say 3.0, I'm going to put 5 gigabyte. USB 4 can run 40 gigabits. That's fucking insane. That's fucking insane, man. 40 gigabits a second. What is that, man? 40? What do you... For what? You could damn near host your whole fucking network on that cable. Run your whole network through that shit. The longer the cable, the worse. Oh, huh. Fascinating. Makes sense that they degrade. Is it even noticeable? I mean, I'm sure if you hit the maximum length, I'm sure it's noticeable at scale. High definition multimedia interface is most widely used for video interface in the world. Yup. Can do 4K. I think it can do 8K now. I feel like I've heard of 8K HDMI cables. Higher speeds, HDMI to higher speeds. Display port used for digital displays. High performance replacement. Full size HDMI and mini, or full size display port and mini display. Display ports can support high-speed data transfer over its cable, starting off with 2.7 gigabits per second, but can only go up to 20 gigabits per second. DVI can use, DVI-A, DVI-D, DVI-I. A only supports A. I only supports I. DVI can do either, but you can't run A into I. You can use a DVI-D, a DVI-I cable to connect an analog input to an analog output. Same with digital input to digital output, but you can't use it to have an analog input, digital output, or vice versa. VGA, 15-pin standard, analog video interface. Thunderbolt, display interface that has data transfer. Thunderbolt is compatible with USB-C, but USB-C is not compatible with Thunderbolt 3. 40 gigabits a second, nice. So it's USB 4? Using USB 4? Lightning cable. Hold on. What are we talking about here, Thunderbolt? Based on the same protocol, Thunderbolt 4 fully incorporates USB 4. However, Thunderbolt 4 offers additional features and stricter requirements, such as guaranteed 40 gigabits per second bandwidth. It builds upon. Okay, so yeah. So more or less, yes. Lightning cable, Apple, yeah, we love it. SATA, serial ATA. It's a serial cable. Serial advanced technology attachment. Instead of a parallel. It's a serial port, not a parallel port, right? SATA has two cables. We have the 7-pin data cable and a 15-pin power connector. SATA version 1 can support speeds of up to 1.5 gigabits per second. SATA 2.0 can support speeds of up to 3 gigabits per second. Version 3 can support speeds of up to 6 gigabits per second. So 1 is 1.5, 2 is 3 gigabits, and 3 is 6 gigabits. eSATA or external SATA. ATA or an IDE. Parallel ATA. A parallel, so yeah, parallel advanced technology attachment. Yeah. That's right. It's 3 o'clock. Gotta get ready. I gotta start getting ready in about an hour. Not enough time to study. Not enough time. I have to do some studying tonight. We can't just play blueprints all night and be perplexed. 4-pin power connector. We love those. Scuzzy? Is that spelled wrong? Is that supposed to be Scuzzy? Scuzzy cable? Talk about cables and connectors. Wide Scuzzy can support 15 devices. It's like a data cable, right? Install and configure motherboard central processing units. We've done this. Motherboard, the I/O, input, output, processing performed by the GPU when receiving input. GPU and CPU processes input. Storage, a way of holding on to data digitally, temporarily, or permanently. We have temporary storage and we have permanent storage. Data transferred on the motherboard is measured in speeds of megahertz or gigahertz. Volatile storage speed is fast. Non-volatile speed decreases rapidly. Okay. We're talking about volatile storage is storage that requires power to hold it. Once it loses power, it drops it. It's erased. It's deleted. Non-volatile storage or memory doesn't need that. It doesn't. Once it loses its power source, the data remains on the medium. Advanced technology extended, ATX, full-size motherboard. You can also get a mini ATX or a micro ATX. Or there's another whole family called the ITX. It was supposed to replace ATX, but it failed. So there's the mini, the nano, the pico, and the mobile ITX. So ATX has the full, mini, micro. In the ITX family, there's the mini, the pico, nano, and the mobile ITX. The CPU is the brain of the computer. Performs basic operations and instructions. Sends the information back to the memory so it can be used. x86. Can support up to 4 gigabytes of RAM. And then there's x64. Because it can support 64-bit operations. 32-bit systems can only run 32-bit programs, but 64-bit processors can run 64 and 32 bits because they're backwards compatible. And then there's the advanced RISC machine, ARM. It's a type of processor used for low power tablets and cell phones. Good battery life, good heat dissipation. RISC systems use code to do tasks, right? Then CPUs, we have sockets, the ZIF, zero insertion force. You simply place it into the socket and it inserts itself. If you bend, snap, or break a pin from a processor, it is no longer functional. That's not necessarily true. If you're able to bend it back without damaging it, it may work. From what I've heard. LGA socket, land grid array. It's where the pins are in a grid on the place where the CPU lands. And then there's pin grid array, where the pins and the sockets have holes which allow the holes to align. Multi-socket. Multiple CPUs or processors installed onto a motherboard. That's sick. You cannot upgrade or change out a processor on a mobile device. We'll see about that. So we have LGA, which are made by Intel, and PGA, which are made by AMD. Just quick. So LGA sockets have the pins on the board, and the PGA have the pins on the chip. Do I have that crisscrossed? No, yeah. No, I don't. We love LGA. Simultaneous multi-threading. We love that. Hyper-threading. Software to run multiple parallel threads. Yeah. Symmetric multiprocessing. Traditional workstation servers. Right, we've got a cache for each processor. The main memory. Should be the RAM. System bus. Input output. Multi-core processor. Single PC with multiple processors inside. Yup. Okay, yeah, so cores. Right, so each core is a processor, right? So we got 21 cores. So we have 21 processors. Dual core is 2 CPUs inside a chip. Quad is 4. Hexa is 6. Octa is 8. And then there's virtual cores. Hyperthreading. Multiple cores virtualization. VT and AMD V are the virtualization extensions. Virtualization technology and AMD virtualization. Multiple operating systems on a physical host. Second. Flat. Extended range table. EPT. Rapid virtualization indexing. Features of software virtualization are underlying and supported by the hardware processor. Alright, so without the hardware support, you can't do it, asshole. Installing motherboard. Yup. Line at the rear of the case. Insert the standoffs that match the hole in the motherboard. Install the processor. PCI 32-bit expansion card. PCI X 64 expansion card. AGP, that's like an old graphics card port, right? Yeah, PCI, PCI X, and AGP were all replaced by PCIe, PCI Express. PCI 32-bit only supports a maximum speed. Oh my god. Okay, so these are just trash. This seems like it could still be useful today. $16 GB, 8 GB, 4 GB, 1 GB, if I'm not mistaken. That's the amount of gigabytes per second. Gigabits per second. Peripheral component interconnect. Yeah, PCIe. Peripheral component interconnect express. PCIe Express. Connects to the bus and gets data from the motherboard external devices. It's determined by the motherboard and its form factor. 16 lanes, 24 lanes, 32 lanes, a 16x PCI 1. Maximize the number of lanes on a motherboard. All PCIe slots provide 25 watts of power. PCIe X provides 75 watts. Unplugging, putting smaller card in a larger slot. Downplugging, put her a larger. Okay, upplugging. Okay, I see. Yeah. Upplugging is putting the graphics, putting a small slot, putting a small set of pins in a large slot. Downplugging is the opposite. Don't know why you do that. Mini PCIe, yeah, the little ones. ECM modems, networking cards, wireless cards, audio cards, PCI 16 graphics, and video gaming systems. So we've got different types of expansion cards, video cards, adapters, GPUs, memory. Well, that's just like more RAM slots. You're not talking about on PCI, are you? Is that, can you do that? What is it? What do they call it? High-speed memory. Yes. Add RAM. Although it works differently. These RAM expansion or cache cards. Oh. Huh. Graphical ports. Yeah, port cards. Capture cards. Yeah, sound cards. Gives better audio through the Ethernet. Install the network interface card. Card fiber. Oh, to connect fiber directly into your computer. Holy shit. What's a riser card? I've heard that term multiple times. Oh. I see. It's the, yeah. It connects to the motherboard and allows you to position expansion cards horizontal. Is that true? What the hell? Yeah, so it plugs into the slot and then it's just like a port. It just replicates the port, huh? Yeah. Literally just turns it at a right angle. Okay, so if it's plugged in like this, then it would be plugged in like that. Jeez. That thing's got to be strong because it's holding it out. It's extending it. Oh. Okay. Cooling and power, thermal, heat from different components. Type of cooling doesn't rely on fans, heat sink, metal device that radiates heat from the processor, thermal paste. Yup. Active cooling uses a fan to cool down the heat from the device. Yup. Closed loop cooling of a single component, open loop liquid cooling based components of a system of different components, liquid cooling, high performance systems. Alternating current AC cycle between positives and negatives. Purpose of power supply is to deliver direct current to all components inside PC when receiving an AC power supply. To deliver direct current. It's an AC converter. It converts AC to DC. Right? You put direct current on the board and the wall has AC current. Modular allows to unhook the connectors, detach. The motherboards are either 20 or 24 pins. 24 pins for the 12-volt boy. CPUs can have 4, 6, or 8. Molex is typically used for drives. IDE and PATA, CDs and DVDs. It's pretty old. Probably getting phased out pretty hard. A Y connector is one connector that can support multiple devices. Okay. 120 volts for USA, 230 volts for Europe and Asia. Voltage sensing detects the voltage and converts it. Okay. A rail provides current at a particular voltage, a 12-volt rail. Volt rails most used in PC. Wattage rating. Amperage to wattage is amps times volts or impedance times volts. So amps times volts or ohms times volts. Okay, 6700 uses 230 watts. Top tier CPU uses 250, mid tier uses 150. Motherboards use 80, optical drives use 30. Hard drives use 9, M.2 uses 9, case fans use 6. Alright, you want to have more power capacity. You want to have more potential than actual. $500-watt power supply that's efficient will draw 625. Power supplies are not 100% efficient, but they can get close. Right? They can get close. We're making our way through this. System memory, random access memory, RAM, slots. Addressing memory, cache storage, mass storage, RAM, disk cache, mechanical system. System RAM. Addressing memory. Processor reach files in the RAM. Single channels 32 or 64. x86 is 32. x64 is 64-bit. An x86 can have a maximum of 4 gigabytes of RAM. An x86 processor can access more than that. Single bank can put any size of module in a slot. Dual inline memory module, the DIMM, 240 or 184 pin. Dual data rate, DDR, most common type of memory. PCI 133 is 133 megahertz. Right, just DDR is PC 133. I got you. Calculated based bus speed dynamic RAM, DRAM. Oldest type of memory that requires frequent refreshing. DRAM is storage cells dynamic. Synchronous DRAM, SDRAM. First memory module that operates at the same speed as the motherboard. 164 pins. Double data rate synchronous dynamic random access RAM DDR SD RAM doubles the transfer speed of SD RAM module. Double data rate 2 SD synchronous random access memory DDR2. Double data rate 3 synchronous dynamic RAM at random access memory DDR3. PCI 3, PCE 2, PCE 3, PCE 2. See the pattern? There's a pattern here. Alright. 106 megabytes or 10.6 megabytes. DDR3 throughput is maximum module size of 8 gigabytes per module. Small outline dual inline memory module or SODIMM. DDR3, DDR4, DDR5 versions. Multi-channel memory uses 2 different channels. Single channel memory. 64-bit data bus. Dual channels, 128-bit data bus. Increases performance. Multi-channel configurations use the same model speed and throughput of memory, or it'll go to the lowest common denominator. It'll just choose the slowest one. It's a waste. Use one memory module on one bus. Dual channel requires 2 memory modules and 2 memory slots on the motherboard. Triple channel uses 3. Quad channel, multiple modules. Sounds about right. ECC memory, non-parity memory. Parity memory performs basic error checking. Parity check. Parity checking. Talk to me about ECC memory. Talk to me. Holy crap, I can type. Error correcting code is memory is a specialized type of computer RAM random access memory designed to detect and correct common data errors that can occur. These errors could arise from electrical interference, cosmic rays, hardware faults, and might cause data corruption. ECC memory by adding extra bits of the data being stored, which are used to verify and correct errors if necessary. It's particularly valuable in mission critical systems like servers, scientific computing, and financial applications. If you ever have you ever shut up. Okay. Buffered registered memory digital hardware with the CPU. Buffering and registering to reduce the electrical load. Okay. PC modules. DDR5 has internal error code checking for its modules. So DDR5 has parity checking. Thanks God. Yes, it does. On its DRAM chips. Parity checking is a feature that can detect errors during data transmission. DDR5 uses this to ensure the data is being transferred to the memory controller intact and has been corrupted during the process. However, parity checking can only detect errors, it doesn't correct them. If you want both detection and correctors, ECC memory is still the go-to option. Some DDR5 modules are also ECC enabled. How can you tell? How can you tell? Product specification. Oh, okay, fuck you. Virtual memory page file. Gotta chill out. I gotta chill out. It's based on a hard drive that is allocated by the OS and pretends to be memory. Check the available memory and the free memory page file or swap space. A file that is hidden. BIOS UEFI. Given a scenario, install and configure motherboards, CPUs, and add-on cards. I've been there. Page 30 of 143, 30, 60, 90. All right. 60, 90, 120. We're already 20% through it. The BIOS. Configuring the motherboard, text-based interface, firmware, software on a chip contains the BIOS code, flash memory. UEFI, 64-bit processors, has a GUI for the BIOS. It's the future of the BIOS, right? Boot options. BIOS is an example of firmware. We've got the post, we've got hardware configuration, we've got boot order, read-only memory. Only way to change is to flash it. CMOS uses an internal lithium-ion battery. Post, power and self-test, diagnostic sequence. Variable beeps are used to tell what's wrong with the system. Keyboard not detected. 2 short beeps, 1 long beep. Okay. Beep, beep, beep. Never heard a motherboard beep. I'm not going to lie to you. I have had problems with post. I have booted PCs that didn't post. I've never heard a goddamn beep. I've seen lights flash. I've never heard a beep. BIOS has a low-level OS which can take input and give output. Configure settings inside the CMOS to the BIOS configuration environment. Pressing one of these buttons on startup. Extension of the BIOS. 64-bit. Supports hard drives and SSDs. Supports GUI, the GPT partition. Faster boot. Larger read-only memory. Disabling boot from an optical drive. Configuring system to boot. You can do boot order. You can do boot order. Boot the OS using PXE, which is like booting from a server. Flashing. Want to make sure it keeps power while you do that. BIOS and UEFI. Load the operating system. Master boot record. Computers that rely on BIOS use master boot record. Computers that rely on UEFI use GPT. Server administrator. You can password lock the BIOS. You can password lock hard drives. Secure boot is on the UEFI, not the BIOS. Rootkits are a type of malware. Modern systems are configured to enable or disable USB ports. Disable the ability of a USB to read or write. Set passwords. Secure boot restricts TPM and HSM. We're on page 33. Go to the bathroom real quick. Hardware rot is the foundation of all secure operations of a computer system. Root of trust. Okay, so the hardware root of trust is a cryptographic model embedded in a computer system that endorses trusted execution and attests to boot settings. Hardware root of trust is used to scan boot metrics for operating files to verify signatures. EPM specifications for hardware-based storage of digital certificates, keys, hash passwords, and other user platform identification information. EPM is a hardware root of trust. Secured I/O. Endorsement key. Versatile memory. Destination identity keys. Interesting. Third boot up provides encryption. TPM can be managed in Windows. Oh, fuck, do that. Sounds like you could fuck your whole computer up if you messed with that wrong. Hardware security module applies for generating storing cryptographic keys that is less susceptible to tampering. Cooling options. Can configure fans, quiet mode, balance mode, cool mode. Overclocking. Makes the CPU run hotter. Motherboard has temperature sensors. Temperatures rise, speed up the fans. Hard drive. Yup. Internal device. Yup. Or external. Yup. Solid state drive. Yup. Flash memory. Yup. Faster, more durable, more expensive. 2.5, 1.8, and M.2. Connections. SATA. M-SATA. NVMe. PCIe. Hybrid drives. They do a little bit of both. RAID, redundant array of disks. We love it. RAID 0, striped disks. It's fast. It's dangerous. It's fast and loose. RAID 1, mirrored disks. Mirrored. 5, striped pairs. Minimum of 3. Striping with parity. RAID 6 is like double 5. RAID 10 is striped mirrored pairs. Take 4 disks. 2 of them are striped, the other 2 are mirrored pairs. You can lose one of them without any data loss. Protection against the loss of erased data. Failure resistant. RAID 1 and 5. Fault tolerant. 1, 5, and 6. Disaster tolerant is 10. Hot swappable. Stuff you can disconnect and connect to the PC without it being damaged. Advanced host controller, technical standard developed by Impel that allows hot swappable compatibility with SATA. SATA is a replacement to PATA. USB can go 10, 20, or 40. Drive enclosure, right. You mean a drive bay? Memory stick. Okay. The original secure digital SD cards have 2 gigabytes. Tape drive, magnetic tape. Damn, that's a lot. That's a fuck ton for back then. An external hard drive or SSD is the same type of device as used inside a system. Removable mass storage is any device that can store data and be carried. Disconnected. Optical drives, we've got CDs, 700 megabytes, DVDs, 4.7 or twice that if it's dual layer. Blu-ray, 25 gigabytes, or if it's dual layer, 50. We've got read only, we've got write once, write many erasable, RWRM, write erasable. CD-ROM, DVD-ROM, BD-ROM has a read-only disk. Writing that cannot be erased. CD-R, DVD-R, DVD plus R. CD read-write allows you to write and erase. DVD read-write does the same thing. There's a write many type. Erase. Read erase. Okay. Read write. So Blu-ray disc BD RE is the same as read write. Oh, they operate at different speeds. I didn't know that. That's interesting. I didn't realize that they had different speeds for different types of work. Like that it spins faster when it's running data. So like a game CD spins faster than a music CD. That's interesting. Select and install. So a CD player probably doesn't go at that speed, right? Virtualization, yes, yes, yes. I got somebody who's trying to... They bought a pre-built, and they're saying that they can't get it to power on. And they said that they even replaced the power supply, and it still won't work. No post, no fan speed, no nothing. They want some help with it. I want to try to help them out, try to fix it. I got a feeling it's the case wiring. I got a feeling the case isn't wired to the board right. Okay. So Hypervisor 1 is bare metal, runs on the operating system. Runs on the hardware. Type 2 runs an operating system. A virtual machine has its own copy of an operating system. Server-based, client-based. So client-based is like Netflix streaming from their movie database. Maybe terminal-based would be like connecting to a server through a terminal. Or a virtual terminal. Who knows? Containerization. Type of virtualization applied by a host operating provision. Isolated execution. Okay. Physical server crashes. The organization hosted on the same servers are affected. Organizations failure to secure virtual environments hosted on shared servers. Security risk. Set up virtual servers in the cloud. Proper failover, redundancy, and elasticity. Hosting all VMs on the same type of hypervisor can also be exploited. Proper configurations, patched and up to date. Tight access control. You gotta do that shit right. Right way first time. Purposes of VMs. Hypervisor manages distribution of physical resources. Type 1 bare metal, type 2 hosted. Container-based virtualization is containerization. Doesn't require its own copy of the OS. Hyperconverged allows for full integration of storage networks and servers without hardware changes. Application virtualization. Encapsulates programs from the OS in which they're being executed. EDI, host desktop operating system within a virtualized environment hosted by a synthesis. Okay, so like Chromebook, right? An isolated environment for analyzing pieces of malware, a sandbox. Yep. Cross-platform is like emulating. You need SLAT. improves the performance. In Intel, it's called extended package table. In AMD, it's called rapid virtualization. 16 exabytes. Okay. 32-bit processor cannot run a 64-bit. Reduced instruction set and computer architecture on mobile stuff. System memory is the amount of memory or RAM on a computer. Windows needs at least 50 gigs. Linux is much lighter. Mac is slightly lighter. Network interface card teaming configuration allows multiple cards for higher speed. CPU, processor, capability, system, networking, and storage. You can add CPU on a. There's no fucking way. Okay, I was gonna say. Co-processors. Tensor processing units that assist the CPU, right? Okay, so basically a GPU. All right. Threat attempts to get... Okay, so a VM escape is when malicious software attempts to get out of the VM. Interesting. If it's patched and up to date, it's difficult, but yeah. Okay, VM hopping. Malicious software attempts to move from one VM to another. So the VM goes from hypervisor to OS. Date patched. Security configured right. Attacker circumvents sandbox protections to gain access. Strong software protection. Live mitigation mitigates live migration. Migrates the virtual machine from one host to another while it's running to ensure that live migration only occurs on trusted network. Yeah. Uncontrolled deployment of virtual machines. VM sprawl. I think this is a good start. We got 45 pages in. I can start getting ready for work, so I haven't eaten yet today. So we're at page 45 right here. It seems like a decent place to stop. Seems like a good place to stop. I'm feeling comfortable about what we've gone through so far. None of that was really all that unfamiliar. There were just a couple things. There were a couple little bits of information that I hadn't picked up on before, like the fact that CDs and DVDs spin at different rates depending on what kind of task they have. That's an interesting little insight. Not really relevant to anything today, though. For the most part, it's something worth noting, though. Nice little study session. What was that, like an hour and a half? Maybe just an hour. Maybe not even an hour. Maybe I just like spent 45 minutes flying through this a minute a page and not paying attention to that. Do that. Either way, let's get out of here. Let's get work done. And yeah, let's just keep going. Keep moving. Y'all have a good day. Good luck with your studying if you're going for the 1101 or any IT certification. You don't want to get it.